Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing how to make a scalloped edge to the angel pocket, angel wrap. So these ones I did this morning. I've used different yarns to test them out. This is a fairly thinnish DK and I'm not really happy with the results on a thicker yarn that was used for the pocket. So I modified that. And so I used a thicker yarn, which actually matches the yarn of the pocket, even though they come from different companies. This is UK Aldi, and this is actually a Wilko yarn. So not too happy with that result, but it's still pretty. And the thinner yarn, it has a nice sheen. That's actually why I started using it, because I thought, well, it matched the ribbon. This one here is the thicker yarn on a white DK, but also a thick DK. This is the thinner one. It's pretty, it matches. So next time, this is also an Aldi, and next time I will use the white from the Wilko. So the one I'm going to make now is going to be exactly like this. And so there we go. I'm going to put those aside. What you will need is hook size, the appropriate hook size. This is a 4mm. I knitted this with 4mm needles, so it's just a coincidence they're the same. Pair of scissors. I have a sharp pointed tapestry needle to work in the threads, and I have stitch markers. So to work the scallops, I start by the center here and I try and find the topmost point. Put that to a side. Try and find the topmost point, and the scallops actually stretch over 4 stitches, because there will be the scallop. I'm going to close this one. Then there will be a skip stitch, a slip stitch, and a skip stitch, and then the next scallop. So that makes 4. Skip, slip, skip, scallop. I'll be removing those now. Now it's just a count. Skip, slip, skip, scallop. Skip, slip, skip, scallop. You can count 4 if you want to. Now that we know what we're doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be a scallop. I'm going to close it. You don't need it on that side because it's just automatically going to fall into place as you work. So I'm going to zoom in. Just move the camera a touch. There we go. I have my yarn. And put the needle aside, I'll need that later. Tapestry needle. So that is a scallop. That's going to be a skip stitch, and that is going to be a slip stitch. So what I want to do is I want to go to the one next to it, this one here. So that is scallop, skip, slip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally pull the yarn through. Be a little bit generous with the tail, you want to work it later. And I'm just going to make a knot. Not even a knot, just basically to attach it. And we'll come back later and we'll work that off. So if it was a larger pocket, then obviously I'd be going further down. But in this case, this is a 40 stitch pocket, 40 stitches across. And that's why it has 4 scallops going down the side, 1 on the center, and 4 going down the other side. So here we go. So there's the scallop. That's a skip stitch. This is a slip stitch. So I'm going to pull it in. There we go. I've attached it. Now making sure that I know where that is, because if you miss this, your count's going to be out. So just get your bearings and then take out the marker. There it is. And I'm going to make what in the US is called a double crochet. I believe in the UK it's called a treble. Stand to be corrected on that. And because I've made a few and I've tested it out, I'm going to be making six stitches. This, of course, you will experiment with according to the yarn you're using. Because what you want is you want the scallop to sit comfortably. So if you look at that, I find that there's still a little space there. I could pull it down, but when I do, my scallop tends to fold in, and I don't want it to fold in. I want it to sit comfortably. So that's why I counted 6, 2, 4, 5. And I'm actually distorting the way I'm holding my arm because I do not want to stretch these little V's. So according to which stitch I'm making, my hook will be in a completely different position. So skip, and that one is slip, the slip stitch. See how it slips right in there? It's holding it down. It's like an anchor. Skip the next one. Next scallop is there. So because I'm working with the first stitch, my hook is at this angle. You can actually see. So really to do as much as I can to stop the stitch, the V at the top stretching. First, second, notice the angle of the hook changing. Third, fourth. If you wanted to, you could move your work a little bit. Fifth, sixth, skip. Now you got to be careful here because it can be tricky to see it. Sometimes there might be a stitch hidden there, depending on the size of your stitches. So if it's much smaller work, because you're using a thinner yarn and smaller hook and needle, you could very well not see the stitch here carefully. So just really make sure that you can see it. There we go. There it is. Skip. And I'm keeping attention, keeping a fair amount of tension when I'm making this slip stitch, because this really is going to be anchoring the shells into place between each one. Just count 2, 4, 6, because when we have so many, it's quite easy to lose count. So it's anchored in place. Now, skip the next one, and off we go. I'm going to pick up speed now. So that I can get to the top corner. 2, 4, 5. As you can see, I've actually changed the way I'm holding my work because I'm not demonstrating. Right now, I'm just forging ahead. The pockets are washed afterwards, dried, and then the ribbon is added. Make a whole pile, wash them all at the same time, dry them all at the same time, and then I put them in, add the ribbon and put them in sealed plastic bags. 2, 4, 6. The ones I showed you just now have not been washed. Just for demonstration purposes, I put the ribbons in. Those ribbons will be removed, and then their pockets will be washed and put into bags, and then sent off to the charities and organizations that supply the hospitals and ambulance services here in the UK. Oops, that's not pretty. I'll have to just go back 3, 4, 5. So now we're coming to the top and skip, slip. Stitch marker can be a little bit annoying. You can remove it if you want to because everything's going to fall in place, but for demonstration purposes I'm keeping it there so that you can see that yes, we're in the right place. That's skip and that is scallop. So now, because this is the top, I first tried it according to the video I had watched and I felt it was folding over a tiny bit. So I'm actually going to be adding what in US terms are called trebles. I think, I don't even know what they would call. There may be double trebles in the UK, I don't know. But you'll see what the stitch is. So first I'm going to make the same stitches as before. US terms double K. Double crochet, double C. Now here I'm going to be making a longer stitch. 1, 2, 3. Tempting for that V there to stretch a little bit. Chain. Try and get the hook angle right. 1, 2. 2 loops over the needle, over the hook. Good Lord, I'm so dyslexic this morning. 1, 2. Really don't want to stretch that V there. This, of course, is up to you, your own creativity and your own opinion will decide how many you're going to do here or what you're going to do. You could actually, if you wanted to, you could add 7. You could add, if you wanted to, you could add 7 double crochets, or you could make 3 double crochets and then 1 triple crochet and 3 double crochets. I've just done it this way, but yes, play around, experiment with different things and see which one suits you. So now we're going down the other side. Skip, slip, stitch, keeping it nice and tight, skip and scallop. Four, 5, 6, whoops, try not to split the stitch because then it won't be pretty. Okay, skip and scallop. Oh, you see that? Don't want that. Yeah, if I wasn't happy with it, I would have undone that one. 5 and 6. See, I got all the work bunched up in my hand like that. Trying to keep a firm grip on what I'm doing. This hand is relaxed, but this one is definitely the guiding hand. Skip. Okay, I've done this skip and scallop. I'm ahead of myself. 2. I don't like that one. I can see immediately that it's... Get the yarn in place. 2, 3, 4, 5, Making sure it's going back and counting. It's so irritating, isn't it, when you find out that further back you've made a mistake. Ah. Scallop. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I only started these scallops this morning, so it was a little bit trial by error after making a dozen of them. I thought, okay, let me make a video. 2, 4. So this, in theory, should be the last one. We'll put it down and check. So I've slip stitched it in place there, pulled up a little bit of a loop so I don't lose that. Put it flat. You can do a count, but in theory it should be correct. Zoom out a little bit. Center 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Then be generous. Cut a section off, because if you cut it too short, it gets fiddly. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm actually going to be working away these tails. So as you can see, there was a slip stitch. I'm going to zoom in again. That was the slip stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out like that. Then I'm going to get my sharp pointed needle. Doesn't really matter what size. I'm just using a slightly larger one because the yarn is thick. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to go through there, pull it, and then I'm going to come back into the slip stitch and create another V. So you see that there's a row of V's now. Created the V, that's the slip stitch V, and these are my scallops. Turn the work around, go back just to anchor it. Now these are contrasting yarn colors. If they were the same yarn color, then you could work it away anywhere you wanted. You could work into here, you could go back and work it over that. But because they are different colors, I need to get here. I want to get into this, like I call it a worm. It's like a thick worm. So making sure that I hide the yarn. I'm going to go into the worm. Once I'm into the worm, making sure it doesn't come out the side. I mean, I can feel it, but for demonstration purposes I'm showing you. And pull it through the worm. Just check that it's flat. Nothing is, there's no loops on that side. And then catch the yarn in a different place. Go back through the worm. You're not going to pull it excessively, you just literally want it to be snug in. Now with your scissors, don't cut your work, be really careful. It's got a little tail, but once you pull it, that will go in. So we're going to go back to the beginning. Now, if you remember, we just tied it on here. We're going to loosen that. Take these out of the way. We're going to loosen that. I use the back of the needle. Careful not to catch any yarn in your main body, because that'll be a disaster. Okay, now you've loosened it. If you see here, this is your original stitch from your work. Do you see that? It's creating like a little thing. Here you can also use creative discretion, decide how you want to attach it. I want it to look a little bit like that, so I'm going to go, that's the slip stitch and the one next to it. So I have to try and work out how I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go, what is my light doing? Why do I have shadow? I'm going to go in there, basically coming back through this V. I'm going to go into that stitch, and as you can see, it's anchored into the next stitch. I'm not going to pull it too hard because it's going to distort the work. To give it a bit of a hard tug there, that's not ideal. Go back in and then around the back. I'm sure you can find different ways of doing that. Okay, what you basically want to make sure is that it's nicely anchored. Okay, once again, contrasting colors. I'm literally going to go up into this work here and then down to the worm, because the worm's where I want to get. There we go. Okay, through the worm, making sure it doesn't come out on the other side. Sounds like it takes a long time, it's just because I'm explaining as I'm going, but normally this is a fairly quick process. Okay, and clip it, pull it, and there we go. Let me zoom out again. Whoop, whoop. So there we go. That is the end of adding the scallops. For this particular design, I started there. I think also once, if you wanted to add an extra one, that's also up to you. Once you start doing it, you can just improvise and see how you want to do it. Now this particular pattern, as you can see, I actually crocheted with the main body color, and with this one here, it's a different pattern, and so the main body color I did not crochet around the edge, and so I actually crocheted a row beforehand. Well, there was a learning curve. We'll most definitely add a row crocheted with the main body color next time, because you need a base row, a crochet base row, and this is knitting, so therefore you need your crochet base row. There are different video tutorials. I'll be working on those, but this is from the Handmade with Love Premies UK pattern, or I always get the wrong word around. Needles and Hooks, Angels and Premies. It's also a UK Facebook group. So they have a pattern there on how to make the basic pocket. And this one is a different one, which I was fiddling with a few days ago. I have videos on how to make them. They're little demonstration pockets like this. As you can see, this one here is the same as that. And this little pocket is the same as that one. There's no scalloped edge on this. So they're just basically demonstration videos on how to make the two different styles of pockets. Okay, thank you very much. I hope that has been helpful. And yeah, have a lovely day. Bye now.